Out of 8 billion people in this world, you exist. And that's not by accident. You're here for a reason, and the world needs what only you can give. Today, I want to show you why your presence matters, why your actions matter, and why you are enough, more than enough, to make a difference. Out of 8 billion people in this world, you exist. Think about that for a moment. Out of every single person who has ever lived, every person who has walked this earth, every person who will ever come after you, somehow, in the vast web of chance, circumstance, and time, you are here, you are breathing, you are moving, you are a unique constellation of experiences, thoughts, memories, feelings, dreams, fears, desires, and potential that no one else has, that no one else can replicate. The world, with all its noise, all its chaos, all its endless motion, has made a space for you, and that is extraordinary, because the odds of you being here, of you existing as yourself right now, with your mind, your heart, your body, your history, are so incredibly improbable that if anyone else tried to imagine it, it would feel impossible. But it is real, and it is happening. And that means your presence matters. You may not always feel it, you may not always believe it, but every breath you take, every choice you make, every smile you give, every word you speak, every action you take, even the ones you think go unnoticed, ripples outward. Like a stone thrown into a pond, it touches surfaces you will never see, creates waves you will never feel, yet it matters. You may be walking through the world thinking that you are small, thinking that your impact is minimal, thinking that your voice is unheard, but the truth is the universe has woven you into its fabric, and every single thread is essential. You are necessary. You are needed. Just by existing, you are contributing something that no one else can contribute. The people you touch, knowingly or unknowingly, feel your presence, your laughter, your kindness, your empathy, your patience, your resilience. They all leave marks on the hearts of others. Sometimes, when you are quietly sitting alone thinking that nothing you do matters, understand that even the smallest gestures, helping someone pick up a fallen paper, saying a word of encouragement, holding a door, making eye contact with sincerity, are vibrations in the world that cannot be replicated. You are the only you the world will ever know, and that is both a privilege and a responsibility. And the beauty of it is that you do not need to do extraordinary things to matter. You do not need to achieve fame, wealth, power, or accolades. Your existence, your presence, your being itself is enough. Because the energy you bring into a room, the light in your eyes, the openness of your heart, the willingness to show up as you are, without masks, without pretenses, without fear, these are the things that change lives. They do not always make the news. They do not always get noticed. They do not always get celebrated, but they ripple outward in ways that are impossible to measure. Someone, somewhere, has been waiting for your exact combination of kindness and courage, for your exact way of seeing the world, for your exact willingness to be yourself. Out of 8 billion people in this world, you are the one who carries your unique spark, and it is needed in ways you may never fully understand. Perhaps you do not see it in yourself, perhaps you doubt it, perhaps the world seems too large, too indifferent, too harsh, but the truth is, without you, the world would be missing something essential. Your thoughts, your ideas, your perspectives, your experiences, they shape the world whether you acknowledge it or not. Every conversation you have, every connection you make, every moment you choose to act with integrity, honesty, empathy, and courage, sends ripples far beyond your immediate perception. And so, existence itself becomes a profound act of influence. You are not just floating through life. You are an active participant in this tapestry of humanity, and your threads are interwoven with countless others. The decisions you make, the way you treat yourself, the way you treat others, the way you engage with your work, your passions, your relationships, all of it contributes to a story far larger than you. And even when it feels like your efforts are small or unnoticed, they accumulate, they echo, they grow in ways that are invisible but real. Imagine every smile you have given, every kind word you have spoken, every act of courage you have mustered in the face of fear. These are legacies. You carry within you the power to create warmth where there was cold, to create hope where there was despair, to create light where there was darkness, and to do so simply by being yourself. Out of 8 billion people in this world, you are needed for your authenticity, your voice, your heart, your mind, and your courage. You are needed not because someone told you so, not because of what you have accomplished, not because of what you will achieve, but because you exist, and your existence brings a perspective, a vibration, a resonance that cannot be replaced. When you walk through the world and you feel insignificant, remember that significance is not measured by quantity, by fame, by recognition, or by comparison. Significance is measured by presence, by the ability to affect even one other life in a meaningful way. And you have that ability, uniquely and undeniably. The very fact that you are here, that you have navigated a labyrinth of circumstances, of chance, of coincidences, of struggles, A and D victories to arrive at this moment, standing, breathing, thinking, feeling, choosing, is miraculous. It is extraordinary. It is not ordinary to be you. It is not ordinary to exist in this precise form, at this precise time, with your thoughts, your feelings, your memories, your dreams, and your potential. And because of that, you are not replaceable. You cannot be substituted. There is no one else in this world who can contribute exactly what you bring, and that is why your presence matters, that is why your choices matter, and that is why the world needs you. Every choice you make matters more than you realize. Not just the big ones that feel heavy and dramatic, but the quiet, ordinary decisions you barely think about. The way you speak to someone when you're tired. The way you respond instead of react. The moment you decide to try again instead of giving up. The moment you choose kindness when bitterness would be easier. These moments don't announce themselves. They don't feel powerful when they happen. They feel small, almost invisible, but small does not mean insignificant. A single choice can change the direction of a day. A day can change the direction of a life. A life can change the direction of many others. The ripple begins quietly, and it travels farther than you will ever see. You might never know who was watching when you decided to stand up for yourself. You might never know who was listening when you chose to speak with honesty. You might never know who found hope because you didn't quit when it would have been understandable to walk away. The world doesn't always reward the right choices immediately. Sometimes it feels like they disappear into nothing, but nothing truly disappears. Energy moves, actions echo, choices accumulate, they shape who you become, and who you become shapes the world around you, even when it feels like no one is paying attention. Your decisions are quietly building something within you, integrity, resilience, clarity, strength, and those qualities don't stay contained. They show up in your posture, in your voice, in your presence. Others feel it, even if they can't explain it. Think about the people who changed your life. Most of them probably didn't do it through grand gestures. They did it through consistency, through showing up, through being steady, through choosing to care when it would have been easier not to. That's how impact works. It moves through everyday moments, through choices that seem too small to matter. The decision to listen instead of interrupt. The decision to help without being asked. The decision to tell the truth gently. The decision to keep your word. These choices build trust, and trust changes everything. Somewhere along the way, someone learns what is possible by watching how you live. They learn how to treat others. They learn how to treat themselves. They learn what courage looks like when it's quiet, what strength looks like when it's patient, what integrity looks like when no one is applauding. You are always teaching, even when you don't intend to. Your life is a message, your behavior is a language, and every choice adds a sentence to the story you are telling the world. When you choose to move forward despite fear, you give permission to others to do the same. When you choose compassion instead of judgment, you soften spaces that were once hard. When you choose responsibility instead of blame, you become someone others can rely on. These things don't explode into the world. They spread, slowly, subtly, like light filling a room one corner at a time. And sometimes the ripple comes back to you in ways you never expected, in a moment of help when you need it most, in a door that opens quietly, in a sense of peace that arrives without explanation. Not because life becomes easy, but because you know who you are, because you know you have lived in alignment with something deeper than convenience. The weight of your choices is not meant to burden you, it's meant to empower you. It means you are not helpless, it means you are not insignificant. It means that even on days when everything feels out of control, there is always something within your reach, a decision, a direction, a next step. And that next step matters. It matters because it shapes you, and you matter because your presence changes the texture of the world around you. You don't need to see the ripple for it to exist. You don't need confirmation for it to be real. Every time you choose with intention, with honesty, with courage, with empathy, you are participating in something larger than yourself. You are contributing to a chain of cause and effect that extends beyond your awareness. Somewhere, someone is stronger because you were brave. Somewhere, Someone feels less alone because you chose to be kind. Somewhere, someone believes in themselves because you didn't give up. These are not coincidences. They are consequences of choice. Quiet, powerful, enduring consequences. And once you understand this, you realize that every moment holds weight. Every decision carries potential. Every action is an opportunity to shape not just your own life, but the unseen lives connected to yours. The ripple doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It begins the moment you choose to act with intention. Connection and compassion are not weaknesses. They are not soft ideas meant only for easy moments. They are strengths that hold people together when everything else starts to fall apart. In a world that moves fast, that demands toughness, efficiency, and constant performance, choosing to care is an act of courage. Choosing to see another person fully, without rushing to judge, without trying to fix, without needing to win, takes strength, real strength. The kind that doesn't raise its voice, the kind that listens, the kind that stays present when it would be easier to walk away. Every person you encounter is carrying something invisible, a weight, a story, a battle you may never hear about. When you meet them with compassion, even quietly, you change the space between you. You make it safer, you make it human, and safety is where growth begins. Most people don't need advice. They need understanding. They need to feel seen. They need to know they're not alone in what they're carrying. A single moment of genuine connection can soften years of loneliness. A single act of empathy can interrupt a cycle of pain that's been passed down for generations. This is not dramatic. It's subtle. It happens in the tone of your voice, in the patience you offer, in the way you pause before responding. Compassion is not about agreeing with everyone. It's about recognizing their humanity, even when you don't share their perspective. It's about remembering that pain often shows up disguised as anger, fear, or silence. When you respond with understanding instead of defensiveness, something shifts. Walls lower, conversations open, trust begins to form, and trust is one of the rarest and most powerful forces in the world. Connection doesn't require perfection, it requires presence. You don't need the right words, you need sincerity. You don't need to fix anyone, you need to stay, to listen, to acknowledge, to let someone know that what they feel makes sense, that their experience is valid, that they matter. And in doing so, you don't lose yourself, you strengthen yourself. Because compassion is not self-sacrifice, it's self-awareness extended outward. It teaches you patience, it teaches you humility, it teaches you how to be steady in the face of complexity. The world often tells you to harden, to close off, to protect yourself by disconnecting. But isolation doesn't make you stronger, it just makes you quieter, more guarded, less alive. Connection reminds you that you are part of something larger, that your struggles are shared, that your joys multiply when they are witnessed. When you allow yourself to connect, you create bridges instead of barriers. You turn differences into dialogue. You turn conflict into understanding. And sometimes, without even realizing it, you become the person someone else needed in that moment. Compassion also changes the way you treat yourself. When you practice understanding toward others, you begin to soften the way you speak to your own inner voice. You become less harsh, less judgmental, more patient with your own mistakes. You start to recognize that growth is not linear, that healing is not rushed, that becoming better does not require becoming harder. It requires becoming more honest, more open, more willing to feel. And feeling deeply is not a flaw, it is a signal that you are alive, that you are engaged with the world rather than numb to it. In moments of shared humanity, when words fall away and understanding takes their place, something profound happens. The noise quiets, the urgency fades. What remains is presence, and presence is powerful. It grounds people, it steadies them, it reminds them that they belong. You never know when your willingness to connect will be the moment someone decides to keep going. You never know when your compassion will be the reason someone feels safe enough to tell the truth. These moments don't look heroic, they look ordinary. They happen in everyday interactions, but they carry weight. They shape culture, they shape relationships, they shape futures. The strongest people are not the ones who dominate the room. They are the ones who create space for others, the ones who listen more than they speak, the ones who respond with empathy instead of ego, the ones who understand that real power doesn't control, it connects. And when you lead with compassion, you give others permission to do the same. The ripple spreads, slowly, quietly, but deeply. A more connected world is not built through force, it's built through understanding, one interaction at a time, one moment of presence at a time, one act of compassion at a time. And every time you choose to meet someone with openness instead of distance, you strengthen the invisible threads that hold us all together. Courage doesn't always look like confidence. Most of the time, it doesn't feel powerful at all. It feels uncertain. It feels quiet. It feels like taking a step forward while your hands are shaking and your mind is filled with doubt. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move anyway. And when you do, something remarkable happens. People notice. Not because you announce it, not because you demand attention, but because authenticity has a gravity of its own. When you choose to act despite fear, you become a mirror for others. You show them what is possible without saying a word. You show them that fear does not have to be a stop sign, that discomfort is not a verdict, that hesitation does not define the end of the road. Most people are waiting, waiting for permission, waiting for proof, waiting for someone else to go first. And sometimes, without realizing it, you become that purse. Not because you are fearless, but because you are willing, willing to try, willing to stand, willing to speak, willing to fail and continue. That willingness changes the air and room. It shifts what people believe about themselves. Courage is contagious. One honest act invites another. One person stepping forward creates a path others can follow. You don't have to be loud to lead. You don't have to be certain to inspire. You just have to be real. When people see you choosing integrity over approval, growth over comfort, truth over silence, something inside them responds. They recognize themselves in your struggle. They see their own fears reflected and suddenly feel less alone. Inspiration is not about perfection. It's about relatability. It's about seeing someone imperfect choose to rise anyway. The bravest moments in your life may never be celebrated. They may never be acknowledged. They may happen in solitude, in private decisions, in moments no one else witnesses. But those moments shape you. They strengthen your voice. They clarify your values. And over time, they change the way others perceive what is possible. Courage shows up in vulnerability, in admitting you don't have all the answers, in asking for help, in saying no when the world expects yes, in walking away from what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. These choices take strength. And when others see you honoring yourself, they begin to consider honoring themselves too. You give them permission to be honest, to set boundaries, to take risks, to begin again. The impact of courage is rarely immediate. It unfolds slowly. Someone watches you leave a situation that was harming you. Months later, they find the strength to leave their own. Someone hears you speak honestly about your fears. Later, they open up about theirs. Someone sees you fail and continue. Later, they stop letting failure define them. This is how courage moves through the world. Quietly, patiently, relentlessly. You may never know whose life you influence simply by refusing to give up on yourself. And that's okay. Influence doesn't require recognition, it requires consistency. Every time you choose to face discomfort instead of avoiding it, you expand your capacity. Every time you act in alignment with your values, you build trust with yourself. And that self-trust becomes visible. It becomes felt. Others sense it in the way you carry yourself, in the calm behind your words, in the steadiness of your presence. Courage does not make life easier. It makes it truer. It aligns you with who you are meant to be. And that alignment is powerful. People are drawn to it. They are reminded of their own strength, their own resilience, their own unfinished potential. You don't need to motivate others intentionally. You inspire them by living honestly, by choosing growth, by continuing when it's hard, when the world feels overwhelming, when uncertainty dominates, when fear tries to convince you to stay small. Remember that your courage is not just for you. It reaches further than you think. It becomes a signal, a reminder, a quiet invitation for others to rise, to step forward, to believe in themselves again. And every time you choose courage over comfort, you light a path that others may one day walk.